In 1974, a house stood in the quiet town of Amityville, New York. From the outside, it looked peaceful, a large Dutch colonial-style home with an inviting exterior and a sprawling yard. But behind its windows, the house hid a horrifying secret, one that would forever mark it as a place of unspeakable terror. One cold November night, the house became the site of a shocking crime. Ronald DeFeo Jr., a 23-year-old man, woke suddenly in the dead of night. He claimed to hear voices, whispers in the dark that compelled him to do the unthinkable. Grabbing his rifle, he moved through the house, room by room, killing his father, mother, and 4 siblings as they slept. When questioned later, Ronald said the voices had commanded him to act. Some speculated he was under the influence of drugs, but others believed the explanation was far darker. Whatever the truth, the house was left stained by this atrocity. For months, the house stood empty. No one dared move in, not just because of its grim history, but because locals began reporting strange occurrences. Lights flickered in the windows at night, though the house was unoccupied. Muffled cries and screams were said to echo from within. Even foul, inexplicable odors seemed to emanate from the property. The house's reputation grew, and people started calling it cursed. Then, in December 1975, the Lutz family moved in. George and Kathy Lutz, a young couple with 3 children, thought they had found their dream home at a bargain price. They were aware of the house's dark past, but brushed it aside, convinced that the future mattered more than history. The home was spacious, perfect for their growing family, and they were eager to start a new chapter of their lives. But from the moment they crossed the threshold, the house began to show its true nature. On their first day in the house, the Lutz family felt an unexplainable chill in the air. Despite the heating system working perfectly, the interior was cold and unwelcoming. George, a rational and optimistic man, felt an odd heaviness in his chest, as though an unseen force was pressing down on him. He dismissed it as moving stress, unaware that this was only the beginning. In the early days, the family focused on settling in, arranging furniture, and decorating. Yet strange occurrences began almost immediately. At night, they heard footsteps above them, though everyone was accounted for. Kathy woke one morning to find the bedroom door wide open, even though she distinctly remembered locking it before bed. Their children were the first to sense something was deeply wrong. Their youngest daughter, Missy, began talking about a new friend named Jody. When Kathy asked about Jody, Missy described her as a big pig with glowing red eyes. Kathy initially dismissed it as childish imagination, but then she started noticing odd reflections in the house's windows. One evening, she glanced at a mirror and saw a distorted face staring back at her. When she turned around, no one was there. The strangeness escalated quickly. Doors and windows would slam shut on their own. Furniture moved as if pushed by unseen hands. George became obsessed with the fireplace, sitting for hours in silence, staring into the flames. He began to change, becoming irritable and short-tempered. Friends who visited noticed his growing detachment, and Kathy felt as if the man she married was slipping away. One night, George was awakened by loud music blasting from the basement. When he went downstairs to investigate, he found the room empty, but the sound persisted. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and he felt an icy hand grip his shoulder. Spinning around, he saw nothing, but the encounter left him shaken. Kathy, too, began to experience terrifying phenomena. She had vivid nightmares of being murdered in the same way the DeFeo family had been killed. One morning, she woke with bruises on her chest, feeling as though she had been physically attacked. Another time, while cleaning the kitchen, every cabinet door flew open at once, their contents spilling onto the floor. As she tried to shut them, it felt as if an invisible force was resisting her. The climax came on their last night in the house. The family was asleep when they were jolted awake by a deep, guttural roar coming from the basement. The walls seemed to tremble, and the air was thick with a nauseating stench. Windows and doors flew open with such force that the sound echoed like gunshots. Missy screamed, pointing to the corner of her room, where she claimed to see Jody, the pig-like creature, grinning at her. That night, the Lutz family fled the house, leaving behind all their belongings. They never returned, abandoning their possessions and their dreams in the process. They later described their 28 days in the house as pure hell, an experience they would never fully recover from. The events in Amityville have been debated endlessly. Some believe the house was haunted by the restless spirits of the DeFeo family. Others suggest it was cursed land, perhaps the site of ancient rituals. Skeptics argue that it was a case of mass hysteria or an elaborate hoax. Yet the Lutz family always maintained that what they experienced was real. The house still stands today, a silent witness to everything that happened within its walls. Its new owners rarely speak about it. Perhaps they've experienced nothing, or perhaps they know some truths are best left untold. Whatever the case, one thing is certain. The Amityville house remains one of the most infamous haunted locations in the world. And if you ever pass by it, you might just feel the weight of its dark history staring back at you through its windows.
Join our family and be part of our adventures. Just click the subscribe button now.